In the dying days of the Roman Republic, one man began to dream of power greater than any Senate decree could give. His name was Julius Caesar. Born to a noble but fading family, Caesar's hunger for glory burned like fire in a city ruled by pride and politics. He spoke with charm, commanded with wit, and fought with courage. A man who could turn enemies into allies, and allies into followers. But beneath his calm smile, ambition grew, the kind that would one day rewrite Rome's destiny. When chaos struck Rome, riots, corruption, and civil unrest, Caesar saw not disaster, but opportunity. He rose through politics with a soldier's courage and a gambler's heart, knowing one false step could mean death. Then came the secret alliance, 3 men who would control all of Rome: Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus. It was called the First Triumvirate, a deal born not of trust but of ambition. Caesar gained command of legions in Gaul, and there, among the mountains and forests, he would carve his name into history. As his power grew, so did Rome's fear. They whispered his name in the Senate, not as a hero, but as a threat. Far from Rome, Caesar's victories made him a legend. His soldiers called him not just commander, but father. Gold flowed back to Rome. His name echoed in the markets, the temples, and the Senate, louder than any law. But power breeds envy, and the Senate feared the man they had once created. They ordered him to disband his army and return to Rome, alone. To obey meant surrender. To refuse meant war. Caesar looked toward the Rubicon River, the invisible line that no general was allowed to cross with an army. He paused, gazing into the dark waters, knowing that one step would change the world forever. Then came the words whispered to eternity, "The die is cast." With that step, Caesar defied the Senate, the Republic, and fate itself. Rome trembled. The Republic had found its conqueror, and the world, its next emperor. The secret move was made. The river had been crossed, and history would never be the same again. The moment Caesar crossed the Rubicon, Rome erupted in panic. The Senate fled, Pompey gathered his legions, the Republic was at war with itself. Pompey, once Caesar's ally, now stood as his greatest rival, the defender of the old Republic. Caesar moved swiftly, his genius unmatched. Every battle became a masterpiece of strategy and will. City after city opened its gates to him. The people welcomed Caesar as a savior, not a conqueror. But Pompey was no ordinary foe. He retreated east, gathering the might of the Republic's greatest armies. Caesar pursued him across seas and deserts, never resting, never hesitating. The 2 giants finally met in Greece, at Pharsalus, where destiny would choose its master. Pompey's army outnumbered Caesar's 2-1, yet Caesar smiled. He knew courage could outmatch numbers. When the clash began, thunder roared, blades sang, and the earth shook beneath the weight of empire. By day's end, Pompey's legions were shattered. The Republic's fate lay in ruins, and Caesar stood victorious, the master of Rome. Caesar returned to Rome not as a general, but as a god in the eyes of the people. The city roared his name like thunder. He pardoned his enemies, restored peace, and rebuilt what war had destroyed, yet whispers of fear began to rise. The Republic was gone. In its place stood the will of one man, Julius Caesar. He reformed the calendar, the laws, the army, and even time itself bent to his will. But not all hearts celebrated. The Senate, once powerful, now trembled before him, and fear soon turned to hate. They asked themselves, had Rome traded one king for another? Caesar ignored the warnings. He trusted his friends, even those whose smiles hid sharp intentions. As he planned new conquests, a darker war brewed, not on the battlefield but in the heart of Rome itself. The people adored him. The Senate feared him. And destiny waited, sharp and silent, within the marble walls. For Rome, glory and tragedy always walked hand in hand, and both were drawing near. March 15th, the Ides of March. A day written in prophecy, and soaked in destiny. Caesar woke early, troubled by strange dreams. His wife Calpurnia begged him not to go to the Senate that day. "Danger," she whispered, "walks with you today." But fate does not wait, and neither did Caesar. As he made his way through the streets, citizens cheered. unaware they were watching a god walk to his doom. Inside the Senate, the air was thick, not with debate but with dread. Caesar entered, smiling, proud, unstoppable. "The Senate greets you, Caesar," said Brutus. Then steel flashed, one dagger then another. Chaos erupted where words once ruled. He fought back, until he saw Brutus' face among them. "Et tu, Brute?" With one final breath, Caesar fell beneath Pompey's statue, Rome's greatest conqueror struck down by his own. And as silence fell, the republic they claimed to save died with him. The Senate hall lay silent, the echo of murder still hung heavy in the air. Outside, the people gathered, confused and trembling. The streets of Rome whispered one name, Caesar. Brutus stepped forward, declaring liberty restored, but the crowd did not cheer. They saw not heroes, but traitors who had slain their father. At Caesar's funeral, Mark Antony stood before the roaring crowd, holding his fallen leader's cloak. "Friends, Romans, countrymen," his voice thundered through the forum. He showed them Caesar's wounds, and the city erupted in fury. Rome burned with grief and vengeance. The age of peace was over. Antony swore to avenge Caesar, but another heir was already waiting in the shadows. The boy was Caesar's blood, and his destiny was to finish what Caesar had begun. As the republic trembled, the world waited. Who would rule Rome now? Alliances formed, then shattered. Rome's leaders turned on each other once again, and from the ashes of Caesar's death rose the fire of civil war. Rome had killed her greatest son, and now she would tear herself apart. The shocking betrayal that ended Caesar's life